2 weeks before our wedding, she said, I think I'm settling. My ex is back in town and he's the one. I called every vendor, canceled everything, and ate the deposits. Sent her a single email with the cancellation confirmations. A year later, the ex ghosted her, and she showed up at my new apartment crying. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. The wedding invitations sat in a neat, accusing stack on our coffee table. 200 little declarations of a future that, in 2 weeks, was supposed to start. I was addressing the last few envelopes, my handwriting careful and steady. Sarah was pacing by the window, her phone a silent, dark shape in her hand. For 3 days, she'd been like this. A ghost in our apartment. I'd chalked it up to pre-wedding jitters, the overwhelming stress of finalizing 100 details. I'd taken on more, trying to lift the weight, confirming with the band, finalizing the menu with the caterer, hoping my quiet efficiency would calm the storm I saw brewing behind her eyes. I put the pen down. Sarah, talk to me. Is it the seating chart? Aunt Carol threatening to wear white again. We can fix anything. She stopped pacing but didn't turn from the window. The city lights painted her profile in cool blues and yellows. It's not the wedding. The quiet way she said it, the detachment, sent the first real trickle of ice down my spine. Okay, I said, keeping my voice even. Then what is it? You haven't been yourself. She finally turned. She looked at me, but her eyes seemed to focus on a point just past my shoulder, on the framed photo of us hiking last fall. My arm was around her, both of us smiling, windblown and happy. I've been having doubts, she said, the word landing in the quiet room like a lead weight. Doubts, I repeated, the word feeling foreign in my mouth. We'd just had our final fitting. We'd tasted the cake. We'd chosen the song for our first dance. About what? She took a sharp breath, as if steeling herself for a performance. Jake is back in town. The air left the room. Jake, her college boyfriend. The tattooed, charismatic chaos agent whose name had always been spoken with a weird mix of eye roll and wistfulness. He'd blown through her life for 2 turbulent years before leaving for a music career out west. He was a punchline we'd agreed on, her wild past, my stable future. You've seen him? My voice was flat. He reached out. For coffee. It was just supposed to be closure. She said the word like it was something she'd rehearsed. But seeing him, it confirmed something I think I've been feeling for a while. What did it confirm, Sarah? I asked, my hands now still on the table. What we have. She began, gesturing vaguely between us, at the apartment, at the invitations. It's comfortable. It's safe. It's predictable. You're a good man. You're kind. You'll make someone a wonderful, stable husband someday. Every word was a precise, surgical cut. She wasn't yelling. She was giving a thesis. But with Jake, she continued, and for the first time, her eyes lit up, not with joy, but with a feverish intensity. It's electric. It's unpredictable. It's real. Talking to him, it was like no time had passed. All these feelings, they just came back. I stared at her. So you had coffee. You had feelings. What are you saying? I'm saying I think I've been settling, she said, and the clinical finality of it was the cruelest part. You are everything a woman is supposed to want. But Jake, he's the one. He always has been. I was just too young to see it before I met you. The logic was so twisted, so narcissistically pristine, it left me momentarily speechless. Settling. For a life we'd built together. For the trust, the inside jokes, the plans, the shared savings account where I deposited 80% of the wedding fund. I was the safe harbor she was bored of. You're leaving me, I said, not a question. 2 weeks before our wedding. For a guy who ghosted you for 5 years. Don't make him sound like that, she snapped, the calm facade cracking for a second. He was finding himself. And I'm not. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm being honest. It would be so much worse to go through with this knowing my heart isn't fully in it, wouldn't it? That would be the real betrayal. There it was. The masterpiece of manipulation. She was the brave one, the honest one, sparing us both a lifetime of mediocrity. My devastation was just collateral damage on her road to authenticity. I didn't cry. I didn't raise my voice. I just looked at the woman I loved, who had now become a stranger delivering a foreign policy announcement. So that's it. You're choosing him. I have to listen to my heart, she said, her chin tilting up. A rehearsed line from a bad movie. I'm so sorry, but I can't marry you. She stood there, waiting. For my tears. For my anger. For the dramatic scene that would justify the grand narrative of her epic love story with Jake. She needed me to be the villain, or at least the weeping supplicant, to make her exit more poignant. I gave her nothing. I just nodded, a slow, mechanical movement. Okay. The confusion that flickered across her face was the first satisfying thing I'd felt in an hour. Okay. You've made your choice. My voice was calm, empty. It wasn't a tone I'd ever used with her before. It was the voice I used for telemarketers. You should probably go be with him, then. She hesitated, thrown. This wasn't in the script. I need to pack a few things. And we need to talk about all of this. She waved a hand at the invitations, the apartment. There's nothing to talk about, I said, standing up. I felt detached, floating above my own body. You ended it. The rest is just logistics. Get what you need. I'll be in the bedroom. I walked away from her, leaving her standing alone in the living room, surrounded by the ruins of a wedding she no longer wanted. I closed the bedroom door and listened. I heard the rustle of her grabbing a suitcase from the hall closet, the muted sounds of her moving through the apartment for 10 minutes. Then the front door opened and closed with a soft, final click. The silence she left behind was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. I didn't sleep. I sat on the edge of the bed she'd just emptied her side of, in the dark, and let the numbness hold me together. When the gray light of dawn crept in, the numbness had crystallized into something else. A cold, clear, singular purpose. The wedding was a contract. She had voided it. My job was to administratively terminate all associated assets. I made coffee. The familiar routine was an anchor. I took out my laptop and opened the master wedding spreadsheet, my creation, color-coded, with contacts, costs, and deposit dates. I felt no anger looking at it. It was just a project plan for an event that was no longer occurring. I started a new list on a fresh document. A kill list. Venue, the Riverside Conservatory. Caterer, Maison Blanche. Florist, Bloom & Company. Baker, Sweet Artistry. Band, the Silver City Combo. Photographer, Lens and Light. Rentals, Premier Party Supply. My hand was steady as I picked up my phone. I dialed the number for the Riverside Conservatory first. It was 8:02 a.m. Riverside Conservatory, this is Marcia speaking. Hi Marcia, this is Mark Evans. I have an event booking for the 19th of this month. Oh yes, the Evans-Williams wedding. So excited for you folks. What can I do for you? I need to cancel the event. Completely. A pause. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Is everything all right? Would you like to discuss rescheduling? No, thank you. A full cancellation. I understand the deposit is forfeit according to our contract. Well, yes, that's correct. But are you sure? This is very last minute. The full deposit was quite substantial. I'm sure. Please process the cancellation and email the written confirmation to the address on file. Thank you for your help, Marcia. I hung up before she could offer condolences. I didn't want pity. I wanted confirmations. I called the caterer next. Then the florist. My script was the same. Polite, definitive, devoid of emotion. I was a customer service bot executing a command. I need to cancel the order for the 19th. Full cancellation. Yes, I forfeit the deposit. Please email the confirmation. With each call, a piece of our imagined future was dismantled. The salmon entrees, the peony centerpieces, the 3-tier vanilla bean cake, the band's playlist that ended with, "You are the best thing." Gone. Converted into lost statements in an inbox. I saved the band for last. The photographer. The rentals. My voice never wavered. I was operating in a vacuum. The financial hit was staggering. Thousands of dollars, most of it from my savings. But the money felt abstract. It was the cost of erasure. A fee to make the phantom future disappear. By 10:15 a.m., it was done. My inbox began to ding, one by one, with PDF attachments titled Cancellation Confirmation. I packed a single suitcase. Clothes, toiletries, my laptop, the small lockbox with my passport and important documents. I didn't take a single photo. I didn't touch her things. I just needed to be gone from this museum of a life that was now defunct. I drove to a budget extended stay hotel on the other side of the city. I paid in cash for a week. The room was bland, beige, and anonymous. Perfect. I opened my laptop. I compiled all the cancellation PDFs into a single file. I opened a new email. I typed her address. The body of the email required no thought. It was a clinical report. To Sarah, subject: wedding arrangements as per your decision. All wedding arrangements have been terminated. Attached are the cancellation confirmations. All deposits have been forfeited. I will be in touch to arrange a time to collect the remainder of my belongings. Mark. I attached the PDF. My finger hovered over the trackpad. There was no rage, no sadness, no satisfaction. There was only the finality of a task completed. I clicked send. Then I turned my phone off. When I powered it back on a few hours later, it erupted. A volcano of notifications. Missed calls. Texts. The first one from Sarah, timestamped 11 minutes after my email. Sarah, what is this? What did you do? Then, 5 minutes later, call me. Now. We need to talk about this like adults. Then, you can't just unilaterally cancel everything. My parents are calling. Then a voicemail. I played it on speaker, my face expressionless. Her voice was shrill, stripped of all its earlier calculated calm. Mark, what the hell is wrong with you? Do you have any idea how much money you just threw away? My mother is hysterical. You can't just, you have to call these people back and fix this. This isn't how you handle a disagreement. Call me back right now, you selfish, insane bastard. Click. I deleted the voicemail. I read the last text that had come through from an hour ago. Sarah, I'm coming over. We are talking about this. She was talking to an empty apartment. I put the phone back on the nightstand, the screen facing down. The silence in the beige room was clean. It was mine. It was the first thing that had been entirely mine in a long time. I lay down on the generic hotel bedspread and stared at the ceiling, listening to it. The beige room became my world. The silence I'd first grasped at like a lifeline soon turned into a deafening roar. It was a vacuum where every thought of Sarah, of Jake, of the wedding that wasn't, echoed with crystalline, painful clarity. The first week was a study in numbness. I'd wake up, and for one blessed second, everything was normal. Then the memory would crash in, not as a feeling, but as a cold, hard fact. She's gone. She chose someone else. You are alone. I checked my phone, a reflex born of years of sharing a life. The notifications were all from her, or her circle. I didn't read them. I just noted their existence like a scientist observing a hostile species. Her messages evolved. After the furious ones about money and embarrassment, they shifted in tone. Sarah, day 3, you're really going to ghost me? After 5 years? This is childish, Mark. We need to discuss the apartment, our things. Be an adult. Sarah, day 5, I get that you're hurt. I am too. This is hard for everyone. But we need to communicate. Jake says this silent treatment is a form of emotional abuse. That one almost made me laugh. A wet, hollow sound in the empty room. Jake says, the man who'd blown up her life was now her relationship guru. I deleted it. The pain wasn't a sharp stab. It was a deep, persistent ache, like a bone bruise on my soul. The unfairness of it was the worst part. I'd been loyal. I'd planned. I'd saved. I'd shown up. And I'd been deemed settling. A safe, boring harbor while she waited for a more exciting ship. The logic of it was a maze with no exit, designed to drive me mad if I lingered in it. I had to get out of the hotel. On day 8, I called Ryan, my oldest friend, the one Sarah had always quietly dismissed as too cynical. Dude, I heard, he said, his voice uncharacteristically solemn. Her sister posted some vague, following my heart crap on Instagram. I put it together. My place. Tonight. I have beer, and I'm not taking no for an answer. I went. Sitting on his cluttered couch, surrounded by video game posters and the comfortable smell of old pizza, I felt the first flicker of something other than numbness. It was sanctuary. So, Ryan said, handing me a bottle. The full story. And don't give me the it's complicated bullshit. Her sister's post made it sound like she bravely escaped a hostage situation. So I told him. The pacing, the doubts, the name, Jake, this settling speech. I recited it in that same flat, telemarketer voice I'd used to cancel the florist. When I finished, Ryan just stared. She said you were settling. 2 weeks out. With the cake chosen and everything. That was the thesis, yes. He took a long swig. And you just canceled it all? Every vendor. Yes. A slow grin spread across his face. Cold. I love it. The most expensive breakup in history. It wasn't about the money, I said, and for the first time, I felt a spark of the truth behind the words. It was about closing the file. She ended the marriage. I just ended the party. Let her and Jake have their electric, unpredictable romance. It has nothing to do with me. Ryan's grin faded into something like respect. Hell yeah, that's the mantra. Nothing to do with me. Now, how can I help? With Ryan's help, I found a real apartment. A small, sunny one-bedroom in a neighborhood Sarah had deemed up-and-coming but not there yet. I bought a bed, a sofa, a table. No consultations. No compromises. It was sparse, but it was mine. I went back to the old apartment once, with Ryan as a buffer, at a time she'd agreed to via a terse text exchange. She was there, with Jake. He was exactly as I'd pictured, leaning against my kitchen counter with a practiced casualness, a sleeve of tattoos visible under his rolled-up flannel. He gave me a nod that was meant to be cool, but came off as arrogant. Sarah looked tired beneath a layer of makeup. "Mark," she said, her voice tight. "Sarah." I didn't look at Jake. I walked past them both to the bedroom, where I'd left boxes for my things. Ryan followed, shooting a withering glance at Jake that made the other man shift uncomfortably. As we carried boxes out, I heard her hiss to Jake in the living room. "Just go wait in the car, okay?" He left without a word to me. On my final trip, standing in the doorway of the apartment for the last time, she spoke. "You look good," she said, an awkward attempt at something. "Civility? Fishing?" "Thanks," I said, hoisting the last box. I didn't return the compliment. She didn't look good. She looked wired and thin. I hope you can find happiness," she said, the words ringing hollow as a bell. I met her eyes then, and I saw a flicker of the old familiarity, but it was buried under layers of her new narrative. "You made your choice, Sarah," I said, my voice quiet but clear. "My happiness is no longer your concern. Goodbye." I left her standing in the doorway of our empty shared history. As the elevator doors closed, Ryan let out a low whistle. "My happiness is no longer your concern." Damn, you're a stone-cold poet, man. But I wasn't stone-cold. In the solitude of my new apartment, the ache returned. I let it. I didn't fight it. I'd sit in the silence, and instead of planning a wedding, I'd plan my life. I rejoined a weekend hiking group. I finally signed up for the woodworking course I'd always talked about. I poured myself into work, not as an escape, but as a foundation. The pain was like a stubborn house guest, but slowly, day by day, it took up less space. It became a quiet background hum, then a memory of a sound. I changed my number. It was the final, decisive cut. The last tether, snipped. The new silence was profound and, for the first time, peaceful. The news of her downfall came to me in fragments, from oblique angles. I didn't seek it. The world, in its small, interconnected way, delivered it to my doorstep. The first piece came from Megan, a mutual friend who had always been squarely on Team Sarah during the initial fallout. She texted my old number, not knowing I'd changed it. The message forwarded to my email. Megan forwarded, "Hey Mark, I know you probably hate us all, and I get it, but I thought you should know, things with Jake aren't good. He's not who she thought. He's taken a bunch of money from her for some business venture, and he's never around. She's a mess. I just feel guilty. Maybe you were right. I'm sorry." I stared at the words on my screen. Maybe you were right. Not an apology to me, but a confession of her own poor judgment. I felt nothing. No schadenfreude, no pity. It was a weather report from a country I'd left. Conditions, stormy. I deleted the email. The second piece was visual. Ryan, ever the vigilant scout, sent me a screenshot. It was from Jake's Instagram, which was set to public. The post was a blurry photo of the open road from a car window. The caption, "Gotta keep moving. On to the next vibe." Victory hand checked Sarah's. Ryan's accompanying text read, "Radio silence for 3 weeks. Then this yesterday." He sent another screenshot. It was a story post, just text on a dark background. It read, "When you realize the adventure was just a detour to nowhere. The plot thickens," Ryan wrote. Or more accurately, collapses. The final, definitive piece came via my parents. My mother, who had been heartbroken but fiercely protective of me, called one evening, her voice laced with grim satisfaction. "You'll never guess who your father ran into at the golf club," she began. "Sarah's dad." I guessed, leaning against my kitchen counter. Through the window, I could see the lights of my new neighborhood twinkling peacefully. Bingo. And he looked, according to your father, like he'd aged 10 years. He was all fake smiles until your dad asked how Sarah was doing. Then he just deflated. My mother paused, and I could hear the clink of her teacup. Apparently, that Jake character bled her dry. Took almost $15,000 for some record studio time. That never happened. Then, last month, he just vanished. Cleared out his stuff from her apartment while she was at work and blocked her on everything. Left her with a maxed-out credit card he'd borrowed. I listened, watching a couple walk hand in hand down the street below. I felt a distant, academic interest. That's unfortunate, I said. Unfortunate, my mother spluttered. It's karmic justice is what it is. She destroyed everything for a common grifter. And now, Mark, listen to this. Now she's telling people she made a terrible mistake, that she was manipulated, that she never stopped loving you. She's trying to rewrite history. Let her, I said, my voice calm. Her history has nothing to do with my present. There was a long silence on the other end. You're really okay, aren't you? She said, her tone shifting from fury to wonder. I'm building a good life, Mom. A quiet one. What she's doing, it's just noise from another room. But the noise was trying to find its way back to my door. A week later, a voicemail appeared on my new, private number. I have no idea how she got it. Her mother's voice, saccharine and strained, filled my car as I drove home from my woodworking class. Mark, dear, it's Linda, Sarah's mom. I know this is highly unusual. We've all been through such a trial, haven't we? That horrible man. He's really done a number on our girl. She's not well. She's lost so much weight. She just sits and cries. She realizes now what she had, what she threw away in a moment of foolishness. We all make mistakes, Mark. You loved her once. As a mother, I'm begging you. Just talk to her. Just a coffee. She needs closure. You're a good man. Don't you think you owe her that, after all your history? The manipulation was so thick, it was almost impressive. Our girl. A trial. Don't you owe her? I felt a cold spike of anger, not for me, but for the sheer audacity. The entitlement that believed my peace was something I owed to the person who shattered it. I didn't delete it immediately. I saved it. I played it again when I got home, sitting in my quiet, clean living room, surrounded by the smell of fresh-cut pine from my class project. I listened to every wheedling, guilt-laden word. Then I drafted a text. I didn't send it to her mother. That would be an engagement. I sent it to Ryan. Me. Her mother just left me a voicemail, playing the sick daughter card, saying I owe Sarah closure. Ryan, LOL. The audacity. What's your move, Ghost General? I looked around my apartment. At the books on my shelf, chosen by me. At the hiking boots by the door. At the half-finished cherrywood box on my workbench. This was my life. It was small, and it was real, and it was untouchable. Me. No move. She's a phantom. You don't negotiate with phantoms. I deleted the voicemail. The chapter was over. The main character had moved on. But as I turned off the light, a cold certainty settled in my gut. Phantoms don't always know they're dead. And this one, desperate and unraveling, was going to try to haunt a place that was no longer her home. The first text arrived on a Tuesday evening. I was sanding the edges of the cherrywood box, the rhythmic swish-swish of meditation. My phone buzzed on the workbench. Unknown number. Mark. It's Sarah. I know you changed your number. I had to beg my cousin who works at the cell provider. Please don't be angry. I need to talk to you. The sawdust in the air seemed to hang still for a second. I felt nothing but a mild, distant annoyance at the breach of my peace. I placed the phone face down and continued sanding. The notification light blinked insistently for a while, then went dark. 2 days later, another. Unknown number. I know you're seeing these. Please. I made the biggest mistake of my life. What Jake and I had, it wasn't real. It was a fantasy. What we had was real. I'm so sorry for how I said everything. For everything. Her words were a broken record, scratchy and out of tune. The grand romance had been reduced to a fantasy. The electric connection was now a mistake. I deleted the message. The following week, the phone rang. The same unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. An hour later, the notification popped up. I played it while stirring pasta on my stove. Her voice was thick, wobbly. Hey, it's me. Look, I'm at my parents' place. Jake's gone. He took money. He took everything. And all I can think about is how I threw away the one good, real thing I ever had. With you. I'm so lost, Mark. I don't expect you to forgive me. I need to hear your voice. I need to know if there's even a 1 in a million chance you could ever look at me again. Please, call me back. There it was. Not an apology for me, but a confession of her loss. Her consequences. The voicemail ended with a soft, practiced sob. I deleted it and plated my pasta. It tasted fine. The silence in my apartment tasted better. The flying monkeys, as Ryan called them, were deployed next. First, Megan again, this time to my email. Megan, Mark, she's really not well. I know she hurt you, but she's being punished enough, don't you think? That guy destroyed her. She's a shell. She cries every day. All she talks about is you and the life she threw away. Would it kill you to send her a text? Just I hope you heal. Something. You used to be so kind. You used to be so kind. The ultimate guilt trip. My kindness was a trait she'd valued when it served her, and now it was a weapon to be used against me for not dispensing it on demand. I didn't reply. Then, a Facebook message from her brother, David, whom I'd once helped move apartments. David, hey man, long time. Listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Sarah fucked up. Royal. We all see it. But she's family, and she's drowning. She won't get help. She just obsesses over you. Thinks if she can just talk to you, she can fix it. Maybe you could just meet her, tell her to her face it's over so she can move on? For old time's sake? It would be a mercy. A mercy. They were all framing it as a charitable act for her closure. My closure, the one I'd built meticulously in this new apartment, was irrelevant. My peace was an obstacle to hers. I closed the browser tab. The attempts became a morbid calendar. A happy birthday text on my birthday, she remembered. A Merry Christmas email, generic, but from her. Each one I met with the same void. Silence was my reply. It was the only reply she couldn't twist, couldn't argue with, couldn't use as fuel. Then, on a rainy Thursday evening, the silence broke. My doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. Ryan had a key for emergencies. I peered through the peephole. She was there. Sarah stood under the dim hallway light, huddled in a rain-spotted jacket that was too thin for the weather. She looked smaller, deflated. The careful, polished beauty was gone, replaced by a raw, sleepless anxiety. Her eyes were fixed on my door, wide and desperate. My heart didn't leap. It didn't sink. It just beat, steadily, indifferently. I considered not answering. But I knew this phantom would keep rattling its chains at my door. It was time to make the silence audible. I took a slow breath, unlocked the door, and opened it just enough to stand in the frame. I didn't step out. I didn't invite her in. She flinched as if struck by the sight of me. You're here, she whispered. I live here, I said, my voice neutral. You didn't answer any of my calls. My texts. Her voice trembled, tears already welling. The performance was beginning. No, I agreed. I need to talk to you. Can I come in? Just for 5 minutes. No. The blunt refusal stunned her. She blinked, the tears spilling over. Please, Mark. I'm not okay. Jake, he used me. He lied about everything. He took money and he left. He ghosted me. She choked on the last word, the irony apparently lost on her. I waited. I said nothing. Her frustration bubbled up at my calm. Say something. I'm here. I'm humiliating myself. Don't you see what I threw away? We had a whole life planned. A home, a family, and I ruined it for a lie. She was rewriting history in real time. Our plans were now her lost treasure, not the settling she'd scorned. You were right, she pleaded, taking a half step forward. I didn't retreat. My stillness was a wall. About everything. I was blind. I was stupid. I never stopped loving you. It was always you. That was the line. The one she'd probably practiced in the mirror. It hung in the damp hallway air, cheap and theatrical. I finally spoke. What you're going through, I said, my tone flat, conversational, has nothing to do with me. She stared, her mouth slightly open. What? Of course it does. It's because of you. Because I lost you. You didn't lose me, Sarah. You handed me back. You were very clear. Jake was the one. I was settling. You made your choice. But I chose wrong, she wailed, her composure cracking into genuine, ugly distress. It was a mistake. People make mistakes. Don't you believe in second chances? Don't you believe the love we had is worth saving? I looked at her, this stranger crying on my doorstep. I felt a vast, untouchable distance between us. The love we had ended the moment you decided it was settling. You didn't want a second chance with me then. You wanted an upgrade. You don't get to call for a reset now that the upgrade was defective. Her face contorted, hurt flashing into anger. The true colors. After everything I'm going through, you're just going to stand there and be this cold? You're really that vindictive? After what you did, canceling everything and humiliating me in front of everyone. There it was. The core of it. The humiliation. The money. The social fallout. Not remorse for my pain, but rage at her consequences. I didn't humiliate you, I said, my voice still quiet, final. You humiliated yourself. I just accepted your decision and handled the logistics. Goodbye, Sarah. I began to close the door. Wait, she cried, throwing a hand out. You'll never forgive me, will you? You'll hold this over me forever. I paused, the door just ajar. I looked at her one last time, not with anger, not with pity, but with pure, absolute clarity. There's nothing to forgive, I said. You're just someone I used to know. I don't think about you. You should go. I closed the door. The soft, solid click of the deadbolt engaging was the period at the end of the sentence. I stood there listening. I heard a muffled sob, then the sound of her footsteps, slow and heavy, fading down the hallway. Then, nothing but the gentle patter of rain against the window. The silence returned. It was no longer empty. It was full, rich, and entirely my own. I didn't move from the door for a long minute. I half expected more knocking, more pleading. But none came. The storm had rattled the windows and moved on. I walked back to my workbench. The cherrywood box sat there, its surface smooth under my fingertips. I picked up my sanding block and resumed the rhythm. Swish, swish, swish. The motion was calming, the focus absolute. The encounter felt like a brief, dissonant dream, already fading. My phone buzzed. A single text from the unknown number. Unknown number. I'm sorry. For everything. I see now. You're happy without me. That hurts more than anything Jake did. It was her final gambit, a bid for sympathy by acknowledging my happiness as her punishment. It was still, ultimately, about her pain. I didn't block the number. I simply deleted the message and placed the phone in a drawer. Ignoring it was more powerful than blocking it. Blocking was an action, a reaction. Deletion was erasure. The next morning, the sun was out, gleaming off the rain-washed streets. I had my hiking group. As I laced up my boots by the door, I glanced at the spot where she'd stood. There was no ghost, no residue. Just my own reflection in the hallway mirror. A man looking back, clear-eyed and undisturbed. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.